All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into something fascinating, the game of shells. You know, how the ultra-rich stay rich, and, maybe more importantly, how they stay safe. It's all about a powerful tool they use to stay protected, private, and, yeah, very, very prosperous.
So, when you hear the phrase hiding money, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably something illegal, right? Like money laundering. And yeah, that's a one-way ticket to jail time. But the wealthy? They play a totally different game. It's called structuring. And while the goal might seem kind of similar, privacy, protection, this one is 100% legal. It doesn't land you in a courtroom, it lands you in a boardroom.
So what's the difference? What's the magic ingredient that turns a crime into a genius financial strategy? You're looking at it, it's paperwork. Yeah, that's it. It's almost laughably simple, right? But having the right documents filed in the right way, in the right places, well, that is the master key that unlocks this whole world. It's the thin line between illegal and ingenious.
Okay, so at the absolute heart of all this paperwork, the main tool in the toolbox is the shell company. Now, I know, the name itself sounds kind of shady, right? A little mysterious, maybe even sinister, but let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on here.
So what is a shell company? Well, think of it like this. It's a company that only exists on paper. There's no big office, no employees, no active business going on. Its entire job is just to own stuff, to legally hold assets. That's it. And that simple function is where all its power comes from.
So you might be asking, why would anyone go through all this trouble? Well, there are 4 huge reasons. First, anonymity. You get to own things without plastering your name all over them, making you a target. Second, it makes it way easier to move money across borders. Third, you can legally, and I stress legally, lower your taxes. And maybe the biggest one of all, it protects your wealth from lawsuits. See, it's not really about being sneaky. It's about building a financial fortress.
And that brings us to the core idea here, layers of protection. The whole strategy is about creating distance. Just think of every legal entity, every piece of paper as another layer of armor between you and the outside world. The more layers, the safer you are.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The more layers between you and your money, the harder it is to trace, sue, or tax. Every LLC, every trust, it's another brick in the wall of your financial fortress. It makes it incredibly difficult for anyone on the outside to connect the dots back to you.
And this chart, wow, this really shows you the gap. Look, over on the left, that's the average person. You've got one layer, right? Your name is on your bank account, your car, your house, everything leads directly to you. Now look to the right. This is the wealthy. They build multiple layers, often 5 or more. And what that creates is this huge protection gap.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, but how does it actually play out in the real world? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, because this isn't just an idea on a slide. It's a game being played every single day by individuals and, yes, by giant corporations.
All right, let's take an individual example. Meet Jeff. Now, Jeff has done really well for himself. He owns about $50 million in real estate. We're talking a beautiful beach house, a slick city apartment, a quiet cabin up in the mountains, the whole dream. But here's the thing. If you go and search the public records for who owns these properties, you won't find the name Jeff anywhere.
So where is he? This is how he does it. Check this out. Each property is owned by a totally separate company, a different LLC. The beach house is owned by BH Holdings LLC, the apartment by Urban Dwellings LLC, and so on. So what does this mean? Well, let's say someone slips and falls at his beach house and decides to sue. They can sue the company that owns it, BH Holdings, but they can't get to his other properties. They can't touch his cabin, his apartment, or his personal money. Everything is walled off. It's brilliant.
Now, this strategy isn't just for rich guys named Jeff. It scales up, way, way up. To see just how big this game gets, let's look at one of the biggest companies in the world, Apple.
Get ready for this number. A while back, Apple was legally parking over $200 billion offshore, most of it in Ireland, which just so happens to have super low corporate tax rates. And let's be crystal clear, this was not illegal tax evasion. This was a completely legal tax reduction strategy. And how did they do it? You already know the answer. Shell companies.
So how on earth does that work?
It's a four-step dance, and it's called structuring. Step 1, you set up a holding company somewhere with low taxes, like Ireland. Step 2, you move your valuable stuff, your intellectual property, like patents and brand names, over to that Irish company. Step 3, now your main company, back in the US, has to pay the Irish company huge royalty fees to use the IP that it created in the first place. Step 4, all that money is now officially profit in Ireland, where it gets taxed at a tiny fraction of the US rate. It's a masterpiece of financial engineering, and, again, totally legal.
Okay, so you see these giant examples, Jeff with his mansions, Apple with its billions, and you're probably thinking, great, but what does this have to do with me? And that's a fair question. The takeaway here isn't that you need to go set up a dozen companies in Ireland. It's about adopting the mindset of separation and protection.
Let's bring this all the way down to a super common example: owning a home. Most people, the wrong move, if you will, put the house title directly in their name, Jane Smith. This makes Jane a wide-open target. The smart move? You create a simple company, JSM Holdings LLC, and that company owns the house. It's one small step, one piece of paperwork, but it creates that first critical layer between you and the world. It gives you privacy and, more importantly, protection.
And this really gets to the core philosophy. It's a mental shift. The rich don't own things. Their entities do. You stop thinking about you owning the asset. Instead, you create an entity, an LLC, a trust, and the entity owns the asset. And you just control the entity.
So what's the point of all this? It's simple. The goal is control without exposure. You still have 100% control over all your stuff. You can use it, sell it, do whatever you want, but your name isn't directly attached to it. You get to be the one pulling the strings without being in the spotlight. So, when you strip everything else away, what's the real fundamental difference in mindset here? What separates the average person's approach from this way of thinking? It all comes down to a single powerful belief, and here it is: visibility is vulnerability. In today's world, being easy to find, easy to see, and easy to target is a huge liability. So this game isn't really about hiding your money. It's about structuring your life for quiet strength. Because at the end of the day, if everyone can see you, you're vulnerable.